Carol Carter from GlobalMindED. We're delighted to be featuring the celebration for the GlobalMindED 2020 with OZY Media celebration today with many special guests. And we are very happy to have so many first-gen students who are graduating this year, and those who support them, and those who will be role models and mentors with them for the years to come. So it's my pleasure to introduce my colleague, Dr. Crystal Rose, and she will share a little bit about herself and also OZY Media.
Thank you, Carol. It is a pleasure to be here today and to celebrate all of you wonderful first gens. This is a momentous occasion, and we would love to welcome you to really being the first of your kind, the first generation to graduate. I'd love for you to know more about what OZY does. We are really multimedia, and it's a wonderful place to learn, to grow, to continue to grow. And it's a wonderful thing that Carol Carter has invited us today with GlobalMindED, not only to celebrate with you, but also to welcome you. Thank you. And now we'd like to invite Teneia, who's launching us off as a muse for this moment with her brand new song. Thank you, Teneia.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for having me. Hello, everybody. My name is Teneia. I am a folk soul singer-songwriter from Jackson, Mississippi. That's where I live, and I'm performing from today. And this song is called Move. And it's about, even when you have challenges in your life, even when you have setbacks, how to keep moving forward. So I wish that to all of the graduates today. Sail away. No, don't just hide here. Sail away. No, don't look back here. Sail away. Sail away. Don't just stop here. Fade away. No, don't lose time here. Fade away. No, don't just hurt here. Fade away. Fade away. Don't just stop here. Why don't you move? All that you need you have is another lovely day to find ways to move, move, don't just stop here.
Good evening, graduates. I need to introduce myself to you. My name is Bill Pink. I'm president at Grand Rapids Community College in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I first of all want to start out by saying how cool it is to be a part of this celebration, part of celebrating you. You see on my topic, it says that we are talking about embracing disruption with civility. Now, if you're like me, you've been disrupted these last couple of months. My disruption is in the fact that I'm still at home right now speaking to graduates. That's a part of disruption. My life has been disrupted. I'm sure yours has too, with finishing out your education, with finishing out various things in your life. This coronavirus has been disruption. One of the things I encourage our campus to do, whether it be our faculty, staff, or students, is the idea of embracing the disruption and asking the question, what do you do with the disruption? Because one thing I'm convinced of, graduates, students, friends, colleagues, one thing I'm convinced of is that if we do not take out of this disruption the things that we have altered in our studies, in our life, the way we do our daily routines, it's changed me so much that I want to make sure I am keeping the things that I have changed that actually are going to do pretty well for me. So I'm convinced that I'm not ready just to go back and call the things before the coronavirus normal. That's what we called normal back then. But ladies and gentlemen, our normal is going to look a lot different. And my premise in embracing disruption is to ask each of you, how are you going to keep the things that actually are really things that you ought to think about keeping in that skill set, keeping in your toolbox? I look at some of the things that we do here even on our campus, our institution, things that we used to do prior to coronavirus, that now we are thinking, how do we do that differently that we'll actually keep out of this virus, right? So here's what I compare it to. I think about growing up and I think about my dad. My dad on Saturdays, one thing he would love to do is he would love to cook lunch for our family. There was 5 kids, my mom, dad, we lived with my grandmother. He cooked lunch, and most of the time on a Saturday, he would have, he'd go to the store and get catfish. I'm still a huge catfish fan. Don't hold that against me, it's good stuff. So he would fix catfish, and what he would do is that he would actually fry the catfish, and he cut the head off. He'd fry it, that body of the catfish, and what we had to do is we had to take the meat off and throw away the bones. Because he'd always tell you, don't choke on that bone, boy. Don't choke on any bones. And so what I took from that, aside from some really good food, is the idea that in my life, I have to eat fish. And coming out of this virus, I got to eat fish. And here's what I mean by that. I need to keep the meat. I need to keep the things that I'm doing now that I know are beneficial to my college, to my family, to my life. Keep those things that actually are working out pretty well for me. Throwing away those things that you say, you know what, I had to make that adjustment during this time. I can get rid of that now. But make sure you are paying close attention, friends. What are the things that you need to keep when it comes to coming out of this disruption that we've all been disrupted about? The thing that I really get up that has really been upsetting to me in this regard, I think about 20 years ago, 25 years ago now, April was April 19th was the celebration, April 19th of this year. We commemorated the fact that 25 years ago in April, I remember teaching middle school in Oklahoma City, and I remember teaching my 8th grade class one morning at 9 o'clock, and it was April 19th. And I remember the building shook at about 9:02. Our building just shook. I remember I was standing by the windows, and I didn't know what had happened. Walked outside after I dismissed my class at 9:25. I just had blown it off. I don't know what that shake was. Saw my students standing in the hallway around a television. Look at the television screen. There's a big cloud on the screen hovering over Oklahoma City. Some man had set off a bomb in the federal building, right in front of the federal building in Oklahoma City. And he killed women, men, and children. What I remember about that day, friends, and what I remember about 9/11 is that when those type of things happened, we had a country that rallied around our city. We had a country that said, how can we help Oklahoma City? In 9/11, we had a country that said, how do we help New York City? How do we help DC? We had unity. We had civility in the face of disruption. My challenge to you as graduates, how are you embracing the disruption and yet doing it in a civility manner? Are you civil? I am saddened in some of the things that I see and hear, because in such a coronavirus disruption and crisis, I don't see all the civility that I would prefer us see as a country to unite around each other, to fight a crisis and to fight a virus. As you embrace this disruption, my challenge to you is not only to eat fish, but do so in a way that you remember, what does civility truly mean? Doesn't mean that you don't address issues, doesn't mean you don't address the problems. It means you do it in a civil manner, no matter what everybody around you is doing. That is what I mean when I say embrace the disruption, but do it with civility. God bless you. God bless you. Thank you, and congratulations.
All right, hello. I'd like to introduce myself to you. My name is Monique Umphrey, and I have the pleasure of serving as the president of Houston Community College Northeast. And I'm so thankful to be able to share this day with you. I'll tell anybody that will listen, graduation is my absolute favorite time of the year. I'm excited for you. When I think about previous graduations, one of the things that I like to do is to see of our graduates, how many have worked more than 20 hours a week? How many are parents? How many are veterans? And when we think about all of the multiple things that our students have juggled and that you have juggled, I want you to think about what your particular superpower is. As I think about graduation, I have to think back on one of my graduations. When I finished my master's program, I had an interview about 2 days before graduation. And in that interview, I interviewed with Kimberly Clark, and they, as part of the process, they showed me a commercial for Kleenex. And it was really touching, and it talked about families and all of this, but you know, I'm usually very professional, very composed, but for some reason, I broke down crying. And afterwards, the lady was like, man, you are the first candidate that has reacted the way that that commercial was intended. That commercial hit me deep in my heart because at that time, I had just given birth to my second daughter. So in my graduate program, I got married, had 2 kids, and it was a whirlwind. And all I could think about was, I made it. I made it. So I celebrate with you because I know how you feel to finally make it to this moment. And you probably are feeling somewhat robbed because you don't have the traditional pomp and circumstance, but we are here to celebrate you. Don't think that anything is any less than because it's virtual. Your accomplishment is amazing. When I think about you as a first-generation student, you know, you have become somewhat bilingual. As a first-generation college student, to be able to navigate through higher ed and all of the higher edese, it's a whole nother language. We create new words for things that sometimes just confuse the heck out of our students. You know, we tell them to go to the registrar without explaining what that is. And so for you to be able to navigate through that complex maze, you've been so resourceful. You've pulled a rabbit out of your hat more than once. I want you to think back on all the times where you made magic happen, when you had to figure out how to buy your books without enough money, how to manage and balance your work schedule, your class schedule, studying, find some type of time for personal time. But despite it all, you made it. So I'm here to tell you that one of your superpowers is resourcefulness and resilience. As I think about what you've had to go through and the fact that you've persevered, sometimes, especially if you've been in an environment where you were one of the few people that didn't have maybe the resources or the wealth of your peers, it can leave you feeling marginalized and left out. But I want you to know that every situation that may have felt really bad at the time was meant to strengthen you. If you think about it, when you go through those situations where you feel marginalized, it made you strong. It taught you how to stand on your own. It taught you how to be resourceful. And if you're lucky, you develop some empathy in the middle of that. By default, you become very resourceful. So I want you to give yourself a pat on the back. When you think about those two superpowers, resourcefulness and resilience, those will serve you well in this next chapter of your life. Each one of you was born with a particular gift, and it's our job to figure out what our unique contributions to the world are. But I'm confident that each one of you will go out and conquer the world. I'm very excited. If you think about it, most of you have been told that to esteem those with a high IQ, and we've had conversations over the last 5 to 10 years about a high EQ or emotional intelligence, your emotional quotient. But I'm here to challenge you today to think about a different type of assessment, and that is your AQ, your adaptability quotient. When I think about these next 3 to 5 years, your adaptability will be just as important as if not more important than your intelligence. One of the favorite sayings is that change is not mandatory, but neither is survival. As we go through this next phase with the COVID challenges, many people will pull out their old playbooks and use those as a guide. But the truth is, nothing that we've been through will prepare us for what we're about to face. This is unprecedented. Unless you're over 100 years old and you've lived through a pandemic, none of us can accurately predict the economic, the health, the public health, the emotional, all of the myriad of challenges that we will face as we go through COVID. But I'm especially encouraged because I know that each one of you is prepared, you're resilient, you're resourceful, and this is your season. I'm so excited as you go into this next phase of your life because I can't wait to see what you will do. Most of all, I'm here to celebrate you. I'm so proud of each and every one of you for making it to this amazing milestone. And I want to leave you with one thing. You were born for this moment and you are enough. Thank you for sharing this day with me.
Hello, everyone. I am Petal Modeste. I am the Associate Dean of Student Affairs at Columbia Law School in New York, and I am very, very honored to celebrate you today. But you know, today we're not just celebrating you, we're celebrating all of your families, we're celebrating all of the people who have supported you so far, all of the people who have nurtured you so that you can stand on this stage. But have you ever wondered why you are the first of your generation to be here today? Undoubtedly, you know scores of relatives who are brilliant, good-looking, funny, intellectually challenge you, they are ambitious. What happened to them? Why weren't they first? Why is it you? Well, I will tell you, if you go back in time, as far back as you can into your family's story, you will no doubt find another story. It is another story of that will inevitably include elements of greed, exploitation, misery, callous disregard for human life, for liberty, and for human happiness. Because man's inhumanity to man, to his fellow man, That is what always prevents firsts. But inhumanity did not win. It did not win because you are here today. And as the first, you embody the intellect, the beauty, the ambitions, the visions of every one of your ancestors who were denied their chance to be first. Monique just talked to you about two superpowers, resourcefulness and resilience. Here's another one for you. It is the dreams, it is the hopes, and it is all of the talent that all of your ancestors could not bring to bear, that they could not bless the world with because other elements prevented them from doing that. But you embody that. They live on in you. That is another superpower. So I congratulate you. I too am very proud of all of you. And I encourage you to go boldly, go onward, and brandish that superpower to change your world for the better. Thank you for having me.
Today I have the honor to interview Mr. Tomas Alverez III. And I'm so excited to share a little bit about his journey and to find out how he's become a national hero. So, can you tell us a little bit about your current venture, Idea2Form?
Of course. Hi, Crystal. First, I'd like to say congratulations to all of the graduates. This is an incredible accomplishment and a true testament to your resolve and all those that have supported you along the way. We know we don't get there on our own. Idea2Form is a full-service collaborative design studio specializing in design for social impact. We work with leading foundations, nonprofits, and purpose-driven companies and celebrities, providing support to their social impact initiatives. I co-founded Idea2Form in 2018 with a longtime collaborator of mine named Lex Valdez, who also happens to be an amazing graphic artist. I serve as the managing partner for Idea2Form and also lead our strategy studio, which is one of 5 studios. The others include tech, education, arts, media, and together they form what we call our Teams for Impact studio model. We're so fortunate to have so many amazing, talented folks that work for Idea2Form. Our members are multidisciplinary, diverse, and they're located all across the country. So even though we're a small company, we have a pretty broad reach through our combined networks. And really what brings us together is our shared desire to use our talents to create positive social change. Over the last couple of years at Idea2Form, we've been pioneering a new approach to social impact that we call multidimensional design, which you can learn more about through our website.
That's wonderful. And, you know, hearing about how you created that, you really used your network. That was really important as well. You thought creatively and you really fostered all these collaborations in ways that sometimes people didn't think about it. And also it was very diverse. You brought a lot of different people into it. You know, your career impresses me as one, you know, that is very purpose driven. And accordingly, you know, you have many accolades, such as NBC Latino Top 20 Innovator and Ashoka Fellow, as well as CNN Hero. What advice do you have, Tomas, for these grads today as they embark on their own road to success?
So I would say, thank you. And I would say that the advice that I have, you know, Bill Drayton, who's the founder of Ashoka, is often quoted as saying, when everyone is empowered to be a change maker, there's no way the problems can outrun the solutions. As many folks have spoken here today, you know, we're living in a world of rapid change where the problems that we face are growing more complex and widespread. The pandemic is evidence of that. And it's really shined a light on the vast inequalities plaguing communities of color and the structural forces behind those disparities. It's also showed us that our systems aren't really designed to respond to this type of challenge. And that's why I believe that now more than ever, the world needs change makers and social entrepreneurs. I'd like to share some inspiration. There's a beautiful quote by a powerful author and teacher named Louisa Teish. And it goes, we are the ancestors of the future. What we do now will have an impact. So I want to the advice I would offer is, regardless of where our graduates land, I want to encourage each of them to be an agent of change in their company, in their community, to not settle for the status quo, to recognize that, we have these superpowers. We also have the power to reimagine and reshape and rebuild our world so that it works for everyone, not just the select few. You're here today because others fought for your right to an education. I would say use it wisely. And again, congratulations to everyone today. And I wish everyone the best in their next steps.
Thank you, Crystal and Carol, for this opportunity. My name is Jaime Brown, and I serve as the Associate Director at Georgetown University. I want to start by congratulating the class of 2020. You all mean so much to me, particularly at Georgetown. I started in the fall of 2016 with this class. And then I have a brother who's graduating from University of Maryland. So huge shout out to the class of 2020. Again, I work at the Center for Student Engagement at Georgetown, and our motto is threefold: be inspired, get involved, and stay engaged. And that's what I want to share with you all today. So there we go. First, we have be inspired. I want you all to think about who and what inspired you, give them a huge thank you, and then think back to that inspiration as we navigate this pretty challenging time. Yes, COVID, but also entering adulting and not being on college campuses anymore. So tap into that inspiration when you need to. Our next point is, again, get involved. Whether you're at home or still in your college town, how can you still be involved in some way, whether it's virtual, in your household, in your community? Don't forget what that involvement really did for you throughout your college experience and how you can give back. And then our last point through my department is stay engaged. Again, how can you stay engaged with your undergraduate community? You just heard about the importance of your network. So how can you stay engaged and involved with your peers? Continue to represent what it means to be a first-generation student, a first-generation graduate, and then advocating for those populations as an alum now. Georgetown is really big on reflection. Our Jesuit values really encourage that. So I ask you to think about the next 4 years of your life and then 40 years and further, and how you can really use what you got in undergrad to further your personal and professional journey. With that, I just would add that being first gen and achieving in this way is already more than enough proof that you are capable of excelling and persevering. Again, congratulations, and I'm wishing you all much success.
I'd like to welcome Sheila.
Hi, Crystal. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you so much for being here today. And as the CEO and founder of BASTA, can you tell us a quick summary of what BASTA is about and how you work with students?
Yeah, definitely. And I just want to echo the massive congratulations that everyone else has shared. You are graduating in just the craziest of times, but you guys have got this. So my name is Sheila Saram, and I'm the founder of BASTA, and we connect first-generation students of color to their first jobs after college. So a very timely moment to be speaking with you.
Absolutely. And what has been your trajectory to lead you to create that?
Yeah, so I am a first-generation American and came here with my parents when I was 6 years old. So similar to a lot of you, didn't have a ton of navigation of how to sort of go through college and how you get a first job. And so my path has not been linear. It has not been a straight road. I started off my career working in the private sector because that's what my parents wanted me to do. I had always wanted to work in public service, and that was not considered a job in my household. But in 2008, then Senator Obama won the US primary, and I dropped everything and decided I was going to be a campaigner. Tried that for a couple of years, realized that was not my calling, and ended up working in education for 7 years, specifically in education reform. And it was really in that time working with incredibly wonderful, talented young people who were sacrificing everything, doing everything asked of them to make it to college, but ultimately at times finding it challenging to find first jobs, that I realized education is critically important, but it's not a silver bullet. And we need to be doing more to connect employers and y'all, students, So you can be sure to be launching great careers. So it was not a straight path, private sector, public sector, education, and then ultimately founding my own nonprofit. And so while this moment is full of uncertainty, and it would have been full of uncertainty no matter what, this is a step. It's one step. Your first job is the first step, and you will discover more about yourself at every step along the way. So I think in some ways it's an incredibly important moment, and in other ways, like, it's gonna be okay.
You know, that's great. I love how you really share about, you know, it's going to be a step. So, you know, students, you know, don't get too overwhelmed. Things will happen well for you. You just take it step by step.
For sure. So I just want to name one thing. Over the last 4 years, we've gotten to work with over 500 incredible college students. And, you know, I just want to echo everything that folks have said on this call. You have got everything it takes to land that first job. You have it in spades. And the one thing that I think first generation college students don't do as much as everyone else is get other people to hustle on your behalf. Every time you apply for a job, you need to reach out to everyone you know and ask them to help you get that interview. It's what multi-generational college students just do naturally through their families. And it's the one place where I always push our students to get out there, like, make me hustle on your behalf, make everyone you know hustle on your behalf. That is how the game works. And we need to be doing more to make that incredibly obvious and visible to you all. But yeah, we built a tool through working with 500 students. Any young person can take the tool or take the assessment, and it helps you kind of get a sense of where you are in your own career readiness journey. Maybe you need to do a little bit more exploration of what you want to do before you just start applying to hundreds of jobs a day, or maybe you're really ready for that first job. So that's been a result of working with so many incredible first-gen college students, and happy to share more about that as well.
Thank you so much, Sheila. That's been really fascinating to hear, and I'm sure the students be interested in your career readiness diagnostic tool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, esteemed colleagues. My name is Michael Torrence, and I serve as the 7th seated president of Motlow State Community College here in down South Tennessee. I want to thank you all for, and I'm talking to the students today ad nauseum. I want to thank you all for your resilience. I want to thank you for your brilliance. I want to thank you for your stick-to-itiveness. I want to thank you for transitioning with us. If you want to trap something, I hope that you're trapping transition. And what I mean by that is this transition has provided you the opportunity that you've taken by the horns to move forward and to move towards success, and that is today, graduation. I know that some of you have graduated before today, some of you who may listen to this broadcast later graduated today, and that there will be others who are listening today that will graduate post this discussion. So when you think about what's next for yourselves, I want you to be inspired. You need not be inspired by someone other than yourselves, because I want you to think about what you've accomplished in the last 10 weeks. You've moved from going face to face, being able to touch and shake hands, high five, and ask questions of your professors, see your leaders, and connect with people in your stores, your mosques, your churches, to working virtually, remotely, learning on a platform that has been here for decades, but now utilizing it for all of its power and possibility. That's what you've done. And that was not a small lift. As much of you has worked with patience for us, and we patience for you, to make sure that you had time to get those assignments completed, that you had time to ask the questions that begged and burned inside of your brains. How am I going to get this accomplished? Will I get to the culminating event of spending time, opportunity, money, and travel, and that is graduation? So you're here. You've made it. So to the Motlow State students, congratulations. Welcome to the Motlow family of alumnus. To those who were in Detroit with my colleague, Dr. Pink, those who were in Houston with my colleague, Dr. Umphrey, you've made it. We're collectively thinking about not just our students that we touch every day, either virtually, because now we have a different kind of touch going on, y'all. We think about the students across the nation that are going to impact generational poverty going away. That's what you have in front of you. Economic and community building power. You can do anything. And if no one has told you in the last 24 hours, in the last 2 years, in the last 18 years, in the last 40 years, I'm here to tell you today, I believe in you. I believe in you. I believe in your ability to move forward. I believe in your ability to take the bull by the horns and carve out a niche for yourself to be a powerful and pungent person in your community for good, for change. Additionally, in wrapping up, you have migrated to the level of growth and human development. That ability to move from where you were 2 years ago as a student, 3 years ago as a student, is what's going to take you over the hump when you believe that something is a barrier in your way. I ask you to remember this phrasing: the ceiling is the roof. What I mean by this is there is no ceiling unless you set one. There's no barrier unless you allow it to stop you. I don't ask you to run things over. I don't ask you to blow things up. I ask you to simply think about your critical thinking skills and make a way to make things happen. Make it so. I believe in you. Let's go.
I welcome today Special Agent Robert Olson, who's been 14 years in the US government and in the contracting industry. And as a non-traditional student, he went back and got his degree in forensics and criminal justice. And I'd love to ask you today, as you are thinking about back to the time you were a graduate, what surprised you in your career in the federal government?
So the federal government's always hiring. That's what's so surprising. Students can apply for positions at usajobs.gov. I wanted to let them know also that the CIA and FBI have their own process, so you have to go directly to their websites in order to apply for positions with them.
Okay, and so what does the hiring process look like when one of the recent grads would like to perhaps apply for a job?
Okay, so first they want to go usajobs.gov, create a free account. They can upload a resume there. They can also create a resume, which will put in the federal government format. I just want to make them aware that it's not a traditional one-page format. They can use as many pages as they want. After that, they can go in, do a search. And what's really important is for them to know that they can use the recent graduate keywords in order to find positions that will allow them to apply for jobs that do not require any training whatsoever. It just has to apply to the field that they've studied. And that's good for students who are between 1 and 3 years of graduating. I think that's really important and good for them to know. Also, you want to make sure you read the whole job announcement. There are certain keywords, and like some things are open to all citizens, some are not. Also, you want to make sure you read the deadline, and you also want to make sure you're aware of how many people are applying for the position. Once you decide you want a position, go ahead and save that announcement. And then what you want to do is make sure you put that announcement in the body of your cover letter, saying I am applying for this position, announcement, and then the number. Those are really important things to remember. After that, you're just basically going to go back to that job and follow the instructions on how to apply. It's very simple. It takes about 20 questions and you're finished.
Well, thank you so much for really walking us through that. How long would that take for someone to get hired? How long can you expect?
Okay, so it is a daunting process. I do like to let people know that up front. Don't get discouraged. The reason why it's so long or it takes so long is because President Obama passed a law that requires the Office of Personnel Management to review every single resume that has been submitted for that position. So they're looking at those for every single position. Also, we want to make sure that recent graduates are aware that, if they're continuing education, they can go through usajobs.gov, and there's also internships there. Some of them are paid or not paid, and those are important as well. Some people aren't even aware that there are internships with the United States government.
Absolutely. I think that's new for a lot of people. And when they're starting off, what should they look into in terms of pay, or how can you figure that out?
So once they're in, this is really great. So once you secure a position in the federal government, you have opportunities now to move around the U.S. government into positions that are not open to the public. Also, I wanted to let graduates know, so students who receive bachelor's are eligible to obtain GS7 positions. That's General Schedule 7. And individuals who have master's degrees are allowed to apply for positions that are GS9, so General Schedule 9. And those are great starting pays.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us today.
Well, hello, graduates. It's an absolute honor to be here among not only these esteemed colleagues, but to celebrate you today and all your incredible accomplishments. I'm Dr. Jessica Rothenberg-Aalami, the CEO and founder of CellEd. We are a remote learning and telehealth company based in Silicon Valley, but I'm only representing CellEd as a member of a team that got us here. Teachers and technologists passionate about bridging some of the steepest divides for most of us. And we're all here only because somebody along the way, a femtor, a mentor, a champion, gave me the tips and tricks I needed to be my own boss. So I wanted to share some of those tips on how to be a boss, starting with my first tip that I like to call try 5 doors. Stepping back a bit, back when I was 15 in high school, I was on my own. And what I, and those of us who are on our own and navigating at that age, you learn you cannot give up. You must keep trying and trying again. So if you get that first no, that's that first door. You don't pay attention. You find the back door, you catapult through the skylight, you find a window. There's always another pathway for you to get to that yes. And that's required actually not only for survival, but to making your dreams come true. The next tip that I've lived by for a very long time is don't blend in. Please don't blend in. This idea that you should be somebody else, look like somebody else, act like somebody else, speak like somebody else, you're not somebody else. You are your own unique you, and you can only do that your own way. That is key, actually. And that confidence will lend it so many different ways will serve you in life. I once heard and was told, be an orchid in a cornfield. Absolutely be that orchid in a cornfield. Which leads me to my third tip. Now, you've got confidence now. You've realized you've got all these doors and you'll find that way to that path of opportunity that you're creating for yourself. Well, that can sometimes lead to overconfidence. There is no excuse, please, to be a jerk. Kindness is what matters. Ultimately, it's what you give and what you offer that makes the difference in someone else's life. And there's no question I have had unlimited kindness given to me to get me where I am. And I believe that is actually the fundamental in terms of getting to the next rung. Which leads me to my fourth tip. Use humor to deal with really tough situations. Humor is the truest emotion. And when you're dealing with a tough situation, navigating a rejection, a difficult job, conversations, life, humor is one way you can not only laugh at yourself, but get to the next day with some hope. All right, that leads me to my fifth and final tip. It's acceptance. There's so many times over the last 27 years in my field where I have tried to get somebody else to be the boss, somebody else to do the work, somebody else I could essentially lift up and support. You get to a point where you just need to lead and lead fully and fully live your dreams because nobody else is going to. And ultimately, once you start and you use some of these other tips I mentioned and all the others you've gotten along the way to get you where you are today, I can say that today I am able to helm in collaboration a team that works in over 14 countries. We have served hundreds of thousands. And even yesterday, we're able to launch an initiative for CellEd to reach 1 million learners who need it most. And I'm so proud to be in partnership. So proud to have been on this journey with so many others. And it always took that femtor, that mentor, and some of these life tips to get me there. So thank you so much. Thank you for letting me be part of this celebration to honor you. And just know you can always reach out to me, Jessica at cell-ed.com. I hope to hear from you. And thank you and congratulations.
We welcome today Dr. Carolyn Watson, a psychologist in DC in a private practice. And Dr. Watson, we all know that right now things are really unsteady and people are feeling uneasy. But when people are coming to you right now, what are some of the things you're hearing?
Good question, Crystal. You know, during COVID-19, a lot of people were talking about feeling really tired or irritated, socially disconnected, mentally in a fog, and just a lot of anxiety and depression. But that's natural, right? Because of what's going on in the state of the world and just this time of uncertainty.
And so what are some best practices that do you share to help people deal with anxiety?
Well, so anxiety happens when people are feeling oftentimes when something's novel or something's new, right? You don't have anything to lean back on, right? Or when something is unpredictable, you don't know what's going to occur next, or ambiguous. With COVID-19, all three of these things are happening. So in my practice, I try to help people understand what's going on with their emotions and whether they're having productive worries that are based on real problems or unproductive worries that are based on hypothetical problems. Real problems are worries that are actual problems that are affecting you right now. So for example, a first-gen student says, you know, I don't have enough food in my house to last me more than a few days, or I just graduated and don't have a place to live. Well, these are worries or concerns that are natural and normal, problems that you can actually find a solution to and work towards. Hypothetical problems haven't really occurred as yet. And so we want to, and they tend to be catastrophic. And so we want to help you distinguish between the two.
And thank you so much. And what are some of the tools that you could suggest in dealing with these, you know, anxious feelings?
Great question. So tools, actually, the first thing we want to do is help people with their thoughts, challenging your thoughts. Our thoughts are super powerful, and what we think impacts how we feel, which impacts then how we end up responding. What we want to do with people is help them to not just have a thought that just comes into their head and thinking, oh my gosh, I can't do this, this is impossible, but to really challenge it and push back, right? And so, and in doing that, you want to think about, well, what are the evidence for? What's the evidence against that thought, right? And to come up with healthy alternatives. That's a part of cognitive restructuring. Another thing we do is help people to lean in. When people are feeling anxious, you often want to sort of reach back or kind of avoid something. And counterintuitively, when you avoid something that you feel anxious about, your anxiety actually increases, right? So what we want you to do is to actually lean in. Do it afraid anyway. What's going to happen is your anxiety actually will increase, but it will decrease as well, right? And to let you know that you can do it and get that job. Be afraid and do it anyway, right? Apply for something and to do it anyway. And then also maintaining balance. You know, every day, I want you to do something that is achievement oriented, whether it's something at work, whether it's something around the house or something that's school related. You know, we're human beings like to feel a sense of accomplishment, right? And so you want to do something in your day that's helping you to be achievement oriented, but you also want to do something that's pleasure focused, right? So whether that's reading a good book or watching a good movie or listening to some good music or taking a walk, making that new recipe, right? Doing something that's really taking care of yourself is really important. And also connection, right? Especially during this time of social isolation, you want to make sure that you're being emotionally connected, right? Especially during COVID-19. And so one of the things that you want to do, though, is that you have to be really creative. That connection is going to mean that you're going to do it virtually, right? And so whether you're calling people on their phone, whether you're talking on FaceTime, or whether you're talking on Discord or WhatsApp, you want to make sure that you're staying engaged. When you're doing something in each of these categories, achievement, oriented, pleasure, and connection, that really helps with your well-being. And you want to practice identifying whether or not something you're worrying about is a real worry or a hypothetical worry, right? And then practice postponing your worry. You know, do an experiment where you set aside a time where you write a list of things of your worries. Sounds a little weird at first, right? But cumulatively, what you're doing, whether it's you're choosing a certain time of day, whether it's morning or night. So at 7 o'clock at night, for example, you have a list of things that you're going to say that you're going to worry about. What you're doing is you're allowing your brain to say, you know what, when your worry is trying to be insistent and come upon you, you're saying, no, I'm not going to do that right now, because you're setting an appointment, you're setting a time and setting a date with yourself to come back and to really work through them and try to figure out what's going on. But you're doing it for a limited amount of time. So for half an hour, for an hour. But also we want you to also do and speak really to yourself with compassion. Often when we're feeling anxious, we tend to be really judgmental, both to ourselves and to other people, right? And so I often like people just to practice being kind to yourself instead of dwelling on the negative. And you can think of it as sort of like a best friend test, right? When you're having a hard time, sometimes it's hard to think about how to treat yourself really kindly, but think about if it was your best friend who was going through something, the exact same thing you're going through, you suddenly would know exactly what to say, how you wanted to really help them, right? And so think about that, or think about somebody that you envision as a really compassionate person, right? A super compassionate person. Think about what they would say to you during that time and try and do that same thing to yourself, right? And that's one of the things you want to do. And visualization, visualize yourself making, being successful. Congratulations to everyone here. You all are graduating. This is amazing, a wonderful accomplishment. And so what you want to do is visualize yourself doing really well post-COVID and during COVID, right? And last and not least, breathing, right? So when you become really anxious, oftentimes our breathing can be really quick and often even hyperventilating, right? Because your breathing is very shallow. What you want to do is to take some time and just breathe. Allow yourself to bring yourself back to this present moment right now and practice mindfulness. Mindfulness can be helpful, not just right now during COVID, but just in general, right? To really bring you back to what's going right now. Again, congratulations, class of 2020. I am really proud of you, and you guys have done a fantastic job.
Thank you very much. That's absolutely brilliant, and so glad to hear that from you. Thank you very much, Dr. Watson.
Hi, everyone. My name is Eriana James, and I am a Georgetown University graduate. I first want to begin by saying congratulations to all my fellow first gens. With me being a first gen, I can say that I definitely understand how you all may be feeling right now. While yes, the circumstances that we are placed in are not ideal, it is our reality. And we have to find ways to look at this in a positive light, although that in itself is tough. But the thing about first gens is we are the toughest people on this planet. Truly, what is happening right now is showing us, or rather testing us on our strength and just how far we can go when all odds are piled up. First gens come into this world as unique. So of course, our last semester had to be the most unique ever. We are the most resilient group of people. This time is no different. Yes, some of us may be graduating virtually or having homemade celebrations, but we're stronger than the ceremony. Our journey is our ceremony. Our challenges are our ceremony. Our victories are our ceremony. What we have gone through in the past 4 years as first generation scholars at our respective universities, that is our ceremony. We should never, ever, ever pinpoint our achievements to one single event. Despite the disruption to our normality, we have pushed through making sure we got to this moment today. When we all had to convert to virtual learning, it felt like, what in the world is this? Me personally, I'm not a virtual learner. I will never be a virtual learner. I can admit to that. I had to do something that was so uncomfortable to the point where I just didn't want to do it anymore. There were days where I just wanted to give up on this, but just like you all, I kept going because there was something in me that told me to keep pushing, to keep going, because despite what's going on right now, I knew in the end it had to be something worth it to be important given all of this mess. And I can say, I think I found that worth, and I hope you have too, or will. No matter what the world we inhabit tells us, we are capable enough, worthy enough, strong enough. And don't let anyone ever on this planet Earth or Mars or wherever tell you that you are not enough, because we did something that no one else has ever done before. We graduated during the global pandemic as a first-generation scholar. Now let someone else say that. We fought for that. Those endless nights, those crying breakdowns, those migraines, I've had many. Those thoughts that came into our mind to say, are you sure you want to keep going? And what we have said many, many times is yes, I want to keep going. Hold on to that. Hold on, knowing that you are so much more than enough. I cannot stress it enough. I just rhymed. Yes, things will look different post-pandemic, but when have we ever not acknowledged being different? We came into this world differently, we are graduating differently, and we're just different all around in the most positive way. There's no stronger group of people on earth than the first gen. We are it. But it takes more for me to say that there's truth, and that I can say all of these motivational things. I can tell you that you're strong, but until you believe it and until you hold on to it, it won't mean anything. So please hold on to that as you navigate into the next chapter of your journey. This is not over. This is just the beginning. We're not done. To be honest, we're never done. So I expect each and every one of you to keep going. Hold on to your why. Hold on to your purpose, and that in itself will take you to places that you may not imagine right now. Because me, I didn't imagine giving you all this speech right now. I get very nervous when I give speeches. But I'm here because I held on to my why. My why is to help someone. I don't aim to help 1,000. I aim to help one. And I know that one is watching this right now. So in the end, I want to say congratulations. I'm so proud of you all. I really, truly, genuinely wish you the best, because you deserve nothing less. Congratulations, class of 2020 First Gen Scholars. You deserve this recognition. You are more than this recognition. Thank you. And I would now like to welcome award-winning recording artist Teneia within the encore performance.
Congratulations, everybody. We're all so proud of you. Continue to be great in the world.
On a bed
Thank you guys for having me. I feel so fortunate and lucky to be here. Again, my name is Teneia. I'm a singer-songwriter from Jackson, Mississippi. And one of the things that my grandma always told me, she's 85 years old, she's incredible. She said, you be yourself. Don't be like anybody else. You get to do you. And so this song is called Don't Come For Me. And basically, if anybody doesn't know what that means, it's the new talk to the hand. So if somebody comes at you with negativity, if they come at you with something that's not positive, you say, don't come for me. So I'm gonna leave you with that, because when you go out into the world, you're gonna have moments where you're gonna have to tell people, don't come for me. And it's gonna be okay. Last time I saw you, I was picking up my peace of mind. You were bleeding me dry. I thought you were the one, baby. You're the great pretender, pretending that you love and care. You walked away the victim like you weren't even there. You got a lot of nerve to say it was my fault. You got a lot of nerve to blame me, baby. Don't come for me. Don't come for me. Don't come for me. I thought you were the one. Don't come for me. Don't come for me. Don't come for me. I thought you were the one, baby. Last time I saw you, I was idling my fears at best. Didn't know to replace you. I thought you were the one, baby. You were all creating chaos in the middle of a rapid mess. There I lost all hope. I thought you were the one, baby. You got a lot of nerve to say it was my fault. You got a lot of nerve to blame me, baby. Don't come for me. Don't come for me. Don't come for me. I thought you were the one. Don't come for me. Don't come for me. Don't come for me. I thought you were the one, baby. Thought you were the one. Thought you were the one. Thought you were the one. Walk around with no sunshine. Say goodbye to the good life. Your sadness will follow wherever you go, wherever you go. Walk around with no sunshine. Say goodbye to the good life. Your sadness will follow wherever you go, baby. Don't come for me. Don't come for me. Don't come for me. I thought you were the one, baby. Don't come for me. Don't come for me. Don't come for me. I thought you were the one. Don't come for me. Don't come for me. Thought you were the one, baby. Congratulations, everybody. See you next time.
Teneia, thank you so much. Thank you to everybody for making such time for our first generation scholars. We know they are the inclusive leaders that are going to heal the world on so many different levels, especially the things that COVID is showing us. So we're very, very grateful. And on behalf of GlobalMindED, we're dedicated with all of you to creating a capable, diverse talent pipeline, and want to hand it over to Crystal. And it's just been a real joy to work with all of you on this, and looking forward to many other times to do good things in the world with each of you. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Carol, for really inviting us here and allowing us to really celebrate you. Graduates, congratulations, this is yours. Yes, you did it. Put the tassel on the other side. And you graduated. Congratulations. I'd like to welcome all of our other panelists to say one last goodbye. Goodbye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Congratulations.
Bye. Congratulations.
2020.
Congratulations.
Knock it out of the park. knock it out of the park.
Ariana, you're just leading the whole herd forward, girls. We're following you wherever you're going. Amazing. Congratulations.
That was brilliant.
Really
Thanks,
was good.
everybody.
Ariana, congratulations. Stay strong.